something that's only going to meet part of your needs when you're in a nursing home. So
maybe an investment is
investing, I think, in many instances is a better alternative.
This is a question that I think everyone out there right now, because of this Roth thing coming in, Jonathan, should a person just starting out in getting into an IRA or a 403, should they do an IRA or should they do a Roth?
They should do a Roth in most instances. As a matter of fact, I've got a couple of questions in here from people who've said, should I do a Roth IRA for my child or grandchild who has earned income? They're a great vehicle for children or grandchildren, young people just starting out. For one thing, you can withdraw the money earlier to help pay for a first home, and the Roth is a little less heavily taxed when you do that to buy a home than the regular IRA. So the Roth is taking the world by storm, as it should.
Okay. Go ahead.
And incidentally, we have a lot of investment questions. The next section of the program, which you'll be seeing in a few moments, is going to talk entirely about investing, and it's going to show you the philosophy that I have about investing in Smart Planner. And remember, Smart Planner is available only on public television. We haven't emphasized this enough, because I think some people are probably saying, gee, you know, I'd probably get it somewhere else.
Investment broker for that.
Yeah. Well, not going to get it there.
Investment broker's going to say, oh, you don't want that.
No, they'll probably say, nah, you don't need it. You don't need it.
But you know, you will never find a better plan and the amount of information at that price. It is simply remarkable. Please call us right now, 1-800-443-1999. When we come back, I'm just going to turn Jonathan loose with these questions that he has.
What more perfect group of volunteers to answer the phone on the night that Jonathan Pond is here than H&R Block. I have Stephen Springer with me.
Hi, it's nice to be here tonight.
It's a busy time of year for you guys right now.
Oh yes, we've keeping very busy. I took away from an evening of preparing returns to come over here and help answer the phones at Channel 9.
Now, you were telling me a lot of people are calling with a lot of questions on some of these issues.
Well, you know, with all the tax law changes in the news, people are calling and wanting to get questions answered. A lot of the things they're calling about will be changes that have come into effect this year in 1998. So it doesn't affect maybe the returns that they're filing for 1997, but of course there's changes for 1997 as well.
Well, I want to point out that this is an evening you could be making some money, and yet you're here. Why is that?
Well, because we strongly support what Channel 9 stands for here in the community. The H&R Block has been a long-time supporter of Channel 9, and we're glad to be here to answering phones for them.
Well, I know Channel 9's glad to have you here. Thank you.
Thanks.
Yeah, thanks for having everybody else here, also from H&R Block. The number is 1-800-443-1999. Got a bunch of tax people back here waiting to take your phone call. We do appreciate it if you would call right now. Thank you.
Okay, does it matter where you get your Roth IRA? In other words, from a bank or a brokerage firm, so you can still get the 8% return?
Okay, I think the reason they mentioned the 8% is that those are the return assumptions I was using in the program.
Right.
You're not going to get that from a bank. You know, with the bank, you will get safety. If you're concerned about risk in investing, then the bank would be preferable for you. But remember, as I mentioned in the program you're watching right now, the biggest risk in investing is taking no risk at all. So you really need to go to a brokerage firm or a mutual fund company, and actually your Smart Planner report, no matter how much money you have to invest, it works for people who have $200 to invest on up, and it will show you specifically how to invest that money. We have a number of people asking questions about what's the best mutual fund to invest in right now, and I'm not going to go over those because they're in their Smart Planner report. There are a number of good mutual funds in there, and I spend a lot of time researching mutual funds. I do the work for a nightly business report. Every quarter I do a mutual fund wrap-up, so I spend a great deal of time analyzing it, and I've come up with what I think are the best mutual funds that you can get for the money. And by the way, it's not going to cost you any money because all of the funds can be purchased with no commission whatsoever. Call their 800 numbers, which I supply in the report, and then you can take it from there, decide which ones to invest in.
Okay. Invest in limited partnership for low-income housing. Is this a good strategy for a higher tax bracket?
Probably not. There are some benefits to low-income housing. They are gradually being dissipated under the tax rules. I would be careful about those investments. They can work in some instances, but certainly don't bet a lot of money on them.
We have our fund diversified stocks, mutual funds, 401k, IRAs. Should we consolidate our funds into a Roth IRA? Our ages are 60 and 58. This is from Stevens, Washington.
Okay, you could conceivably, at your ages, take the IRA money, certainly. Remember, to convert to a Roth IRA, you have to have the money in an IRA, in an old or a traditional IRA. But again, there is a situation where, I emphasize, if you can afford to pay the taxes with money outside the retirement accounts, it doesn't make any sense to pay the taxes with money inside the accounts, because you've got to pay taxes on those taxes, and sometimes you may have to pay penalties. So you would be good candidates for the Roth. And again, the Smart Planner report will look at your situation, your age, what you've got in the way of investments, and will make a determination that would say, yes, you should be looking seriously into the Roth, and I think in that situation you would.
Here's a person who says wants to exercise Starbucks stock options for about $500,000, so it has very little impact or minimal impact on my tax return. Can you do that?
Well, it's not going to have a lot of impact, but you're going to be able to put a lot of money in your pocket afterwards. Now, if it's an incentive stock option, it's conceivable you could exercise, hold on to it for the prescribed period of time, and then pay only a 20% federal capital gain tax. Don't let the tax tail wag the dog, though. Here's a situation where you may have a lot of your money tied up in the stock of a single company. If that's the case, I'd exercise and get out of there, even though I have to pay taxes.
We are going to wrap up here because we're out of time, but we've got lots of time left. I promise we will get to almost every question that has been asked, and we got a stack of them, let me tell you. We're going now to part 2 of Finding Financial Freedom with Jonathan Pond. Don't forget to call 1-800-443-1999.
Local production and broadcast for this evening on KCTS is made possible in part by H&R Block, someone you can count on, with offices throughout Western Washington.
Hello, Jonathan here, with some